Hey, it's Jeff Cannata coming at you with another newest, latest, best mini episode. This one about Elder Scrolls Online. Now, I should tell you a little bit about my history with Elder Scrolls. I love the franchise. It's really everything I love about video games. Exploration, emergent storytelling, a vast, interesting world created by artists, fantasy setting, fun combat, magic, all the things that I really geek out over, and it's what I love most about video games. My favorite video game of all time is Ultima 7. I love these big worlds full of interesting characters, creating your own story within that world, making big decisions, and nobody does that better than Bethesda and Elder Scrolls. So I loved Morrowind, I loved Oblivion. Oblivion was the first game I ever 1,000 gamer scored on the Xbox. And now with Elder Scrolls Online, or with Skyrim, excuse me, I love that game as well. So Elder Scrolls Online. Went to E3, 2 years ago? And when it was announced, so excited. And I came away, if you remember way back then on TRS, it was my biggest disappointment of the show. Cut to last year's E3, I was so excited that I got some hands-on time with the game, and it had really turned around. It didn't feel like it felt back then as just a World of Warcraft skin with Elder Scrolls on top of it. Now the game has come out. I've been playing it nonstop for the last week, 2 weeks, since I had early access. And I'm here to tell you, it's everything I dreamed it could be. In fact, I would even go so far as to say it's everything I dreamed an MMO could be. As much as I love WoW and numerous others that are of the same template of MMO, which has become really a template, has become very much the same sort of things, and different games will add nuances here and there. And Guild Wars 2, to its credit, which I played a lot of as well, added a lot of really interesting things, made exploration interesting, and did a lot of great stuff with that formula as well, not to mention eliminating the monthly fee, which is big. Well, Guild Wars 1 did that too, but what I've always wanted out of an MMO is the feeling of a single-player role-playing game in a world that was inhabited by my friends and strangers as well. So the feeling that I'm not just plugged into this MMO style of play where I'm watching my cooldowns and popping my skills and running into town, collecting all the quests, collecting all the pelts that they want, in their quest, killing 6 of those, collecting 40 of these, and then returning back to the quest givers and moving on. While that is a fun loop that I have enjoyed over and over again, and I keep coming back to WoW, as I will again when Warlords of Draenor comes out, I'm sure, I longed for this feeling that I felt in Skyrim, in Oblivion, in Morrowind, where I felt like I was really exploring a vast, interesting world, and that exploration was valued. Cut to Elder Scrolls Online. That is happening. They've accomplished that. They made a multiplayer Elder Scrolls experience. So that's a double-edged sword for a lot of people, I understand. I get that. People are like, well, why should I pay $14 a month if I'm basically playing this single-player game that also just has other people playing a single-player game in it? I get that. And that experience is very much what I've been doing. I have been wandering through the countryside, and like I did in Skyrim, like I did in Oblivion, like I did in Morrowind, if there was something interesting, I follow that. I see something cool on my map, I go explore it, and there will be a quest there. There will be interesting storylines going on. I'll walk up to a situation and I'll see non-player characters doing something and telling a little story. I'll hear audio of dialogue happening. Maybe somebody will run up to me and go, oh my gosh, can you help me? It's not just walk to the next town, look at the 14 guys that have gold question marks over their heads, click on them, go do the thing they want to do. No, I'm immersed in that story. I'm making decisions. The decisions count. I have effect on the world around me. If I clear an area of bad guys, that area stays clear of bad guys. If I have affected a town in a certain way, if I saved someone or made someone go put to death, they stay alive, they stay dead, and that has effect. Every time I look at my map, and my goodness, this is so satisfying in Elder Scrolls Online, and I scroll over an icon that I have accomplished a quest, I have finished the quest in, it'll tell me what I did, what I chose to have happen there. So if I scroll over a town, it says, you saved the mayor of that town, or whatever. you vanquished the demon threat there, whatever. But it has a lasting effect, and it makes me feel like I have impact on this massively multiplayer world. That's such a big thing. Now, even Star Wars: The Old Republic had fully voice acted quests, but here I want to listen to this more. These stories I'm more a part of. I have skills that let me intimidate or persuade, just like in a single player game, and they have real impact. Here's one little thing. It's not a spoiler. I found a merchant just wandering the road, and I talked to that merchant, and since I put a skill point in Intimidate, I had the option to intimidate the merchant, and they got scared of me and put something that they were going to sell on the ground in front of them, and I could just pick it up and take it from them. But they also then were terrified and wouldn't sell me anything. So I lost the ability to use that merchant, but I got one free thing because I made that decision. You don't get that kind of impact in an MMO, and that's just a small example. There's much bigger examples in these big main storylines, and I'm so invested in these storylines like I am in a single-player role-playing game, like I am in Skyrim. But that's just one part of it. It's a huge part of it, and it's the part that keeps me coming back for more, that I feel like I can explore over here, and oh my gosh, there's a chest, and I can use my lockpicking skills, which is actually a skill in this game. I'm actually playing a mini game in an MMO instead of just... Let me step back. Most MMOs take the WoW model, or I guess EverQuest model, where the only currency in the game is time. You are spending time doing something. If I want to lockpick something, I expend time, and I just wait for that meter to go down. If I use a skill, I have to wait until I can use that skill again. I'm expending time. Elder Scrolls doesn't care about that. I mean, it uses time to a certain extent on certain things. For example, you have mounts, you can have your horse, and you can only feed it once per 20 hours of real human time. And so it does utilize that, but for the most part, the fundamental structure of the game isn't about time. It's about lots of other kinds of things. So for example, when you're lock picking, you're literally, trying to pick the lock in a mini game like you would in Skyrim or Morrowind or Oblivion. So that's really satisfying. And when you're using skills as a fighter or a mage or whatever you are, you don't have to worry about cooldowns per se. You have to worry about using your magicka, your stamina, and your health. Those are the three resources that you juggle in this game, as you have in all the Elder Scrolls games. So they did such a wonderful job of taking the systems from Elder Scrolls and applying them to an MMO space, and incentivizing building your character in certain ways, which is so brilliant to me, because in previous MMOs and most role-playing games really, you select your class, and if you select a mage, then you can only wear cloth armor and you're restricted in certain things. No. Elder Scrolls has always been about freedom. Whatever you spend your time doing is how your skills improve. So if you spend time using two-handed swords, you get better in two-handed weapons. If you spend your time shooting magic at people, you get better at magic. Same thing here. Whatever skills you put on your skill bar level up as you play the game. And then you have the option of morphing those skills into other things. So you don't have just a restrictive skill tree. You have each individual skill branching and branching and branching. And so you get more and more specific into how you want to play. And if you want to create some crazy hybrid of a sword and shield guy who also uses staffs, you can do that. I recently hit level 15 in the game, which unlocks a whole new world because you're able to switch back and forth between two weapon sets. It's so fascinating. It's a little overwhelming at first to go, oh my gosh, I can put skills into anything. What do I even do? But before long, you're getting skill points in so many different ways. You're getting them as quest rewards. You're finding them out in the world as hidden exploration points. You are getting them from when you level up. And you get so many of them that you get the idea that, I can spend these how I want, and I can follow my interest and craft my character how I want. And the fun of figuring out, I need to balance magicka spells with stamina spells, or I just wear light armor, which gives me a bonus in regenning magicka. It gives me a bonus in maximum magicka. So if I want to just stay in one thing, then I'm incentivized to wear certain types of armor. And those armor types even give you skill chains within them, so you can buff that up even more. And the effectiveness of those skill chains is based on how many pieces of that kind of armor you're wearing. So yes, if I want a bunch of magic regen, I'm incentivized because per type of cloth armor I'm wearing, I get that bonus. Okay, so that's really nitty gritty and super detailed, and I've gone on far longer than I intended to. But all of this is to say, I love this game. This is the game that I've always wanted. It feels like a vast, interesting, alive world, which an MMO has never felt like. An MMO has always felt like a playground for me and my friends. This feels like an alive world that I just happen to be able to play with my friends. The only downside is that most of the time I don't want to be on Skype with my buddies who I usually play MMOs with because I'm listening to this game. I'm actually listening to an MMO for once. But there's so much great going on. I'll keep updating you guys as I progress farther because I'm only about level 16 right now, but I intend to continue playing for a long time. And MMOs can ebb and flow, and they can wane at a certain point. And you get to a certain level, and things don't feel as exciting. But I haven't even touched on the PvP system, which is really fun. Feel these great sieges that happen. So I'll talk more about this in a future video. But for now, I can say I'm having more fun with this MMO than I have had in a long time, and I feel like this is a huge home run for what MMOs can be, and for just fans of Elder Scrolls games, here is a huge, vast, awesome, well-crafted, well-written, well-acted, interesting Elder Scrolls game to play. I love it. I love it. I am hooked. I'm hooked. I'm compulsively playing it. So you'll hear more from me about that game very soon because I can't stop playing it. So if you want to hear more, subscribe, like on YouTube, and listen to DLC, where I'll also be talking about it, 5by5.tv/DLC.